The Supreme Court is the most powerful entity in United States government. Now, many would argue that the three branches of government hold power equally. But I would retort that how could the power of one president, even a two-term president, compare with the collective judicial body that holds its positioning for each justice an entire lifetime? And the power of the legislative branch is even more short-term, with individual lawmakers being subject to presidential veto power and other limitations. So ultimately, the 9 judicial seats of power hold the cards when it comes to almost every major issue that touches American life. From health care, including abortion, to affirmative action, voting rights, corporate and business structure, immigration, the environment, student loan debt forgiveness, and again, any additional American issues. Ultimately, the U.S. Supreme Court will have the say. Which is why it's really important, right, to look at what the court is doing, but we also need to pay really close attention to who is doing it. Now, we know that this current court holds a 6-3 conservative majority. And while it is easy to presume that every decision before the court will be decided along those party lines, what we know for sure is that it doesn't always go down like that. Now listen, nobody, certainly not me, is saying that Chief Justice John Roberts should get the Nobel Peace Prize or even a cookie. But it is worth paying attention to the fact that this George W. Bush appointed justice, who just wrote the majority opinion to that 2012 Supreme Court decision that gutted the Voting Rights Act, that guy, well, he turned around just last week and he helped save the voting rights of millions of Black Americans. Now, the fact that he did it is important, but we also need to look at why he did it. So my first thought was that, okay, here we have a white man of the moment who is very concerned with his legacy, and rightfully so. We see the Chief Justice showing up just enough to be considered the modern swing vote. And listen, nobody's going to confuse him with Sandra Day O'Connor, but the fact is that Obamacare as we know it today would not even exist if it wasn't for Justice John Roberts. So yes, as the Supreme Court is getting dragged, rightfully, for all kinds of ethical and moral failings, I'm pretty clear that cementing his legacy is top of mind for Justice Roberts. But what I found out today is that the Chief Justice made this incredible 180-degree turnaround on Black folks and voting due to the brilliance, the integrity, and the presence of a Black woman. She happens to be his newest colleague on the court, and she is the first Black woman to sit on the High Court, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, when she was appointed, many publicly celebrated, but privately, especially amongst the, halls of power and the legal space and the media space and the political sphere, I heard whispers of, it looks good, it's nice to have her up there, representation, but she can't move the needle. And she can't make a difference on a 6-3 conservative court. Well, look at us now. Attorney Duell Ross just told me that he credits this massive shift in John Roberts' thinking on Black folks and discrimination in voting to the legal and the moral persuasion of Justice Brown Jackson. And listen, for those of you who are counting, one could argue that this is also a win for the Biden administration, because it was Joe Biden that finally made it a priority to put a Black woman on the country's highest court. So to this Supreme Court, I say thank you. Thank you for upholding the Constitution and for doing the right thing. But to Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, I say a very special thank you for proving once again that Black women will always do what needs to be done.